Here you are with another installment of a rare find, all about the GuideHawk NP rifles. I now have both of the 177 cal and 22 caliber. I've been doing some more research online, and I finally found out the base for this thing. The last one was a GuideHawk. Before that, it was a Genesis, virtually the same rifle. A little more digging, and I found a video by the late Kenny Cormody. Rest in peace there, bud. He was good. Anyhow, he did a video on the then new Genesis NP, or nitro piston. And he showed pictures of an earlier rifle called a Nitro Venom. This rifle is virtually a carbon copy of, except for the barrel shroud and maybe some other couple of little things. Like they took the ribbing off the sides of the butt pad that the Nitro Venom had. Might still have it. Started in it says 2011 to present. When you finally get the model numbers for the for both rifles, for both calibers of the rifle, that is to say. And I'll read off these part numbers, and while I'm reading off the part number, I'll put the I'll show the part number at the bottom of the screen here. Okay, so the 22 GuideHawk model CGHN P82, that's all capital letters, by the way, is actually Nitro Venom 177 caliber model number CV1K77XNP. Okay. Now, the 22 model of the Nitro Venom, and I haven't, okay, the first number I gave you was the 22 GuideHawk number. The second one was the 177 Nitro Venom number. Now this is the 22 Nitro Venom model number CVW8M22NP. I'll have to put in the 177 model number when I look at that version I got sitting over here. I hadn't done that yet. But anyway, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen, so y'all have this information. Once you get the Nitro Venom part number or model numbers, you can look that up on crossman.com, and it's page 6, the last page. So that'll make it easier to find that. Some parts are still available from Crossman, but I take that to mean that doesn't mean all of them. And so far, this one, they don't have a separate exploded diagram for the trigger assembly, so that's going to be fun. At least not that was posted anyway. I'll have to look again and see if there's someplace else I can find that. But basically, there is a notch in the base of the piston, and it's the same. It looks like the same piston design and piston seal design that was used in my Hatsan Striker. The Striker and the Benjamin NPXLs. I worked on the NPXL 1100, which is the 22 Magnum, and yeah, they all have pretty much the same piston assembly, so they're getting them from a particular person or company. I'm sorry. So anywho, things are looking up a little bit. And I've got some exploded diagrams from the Nitro Venoms with the parts lists, which I'll put in the video. So let's hit it. Okay, and here we have the Nitro Venom, the grandfather of them all. Basically the same stock, but with chevrons around the logo on the butt pad and just a suppressor on the end of the barrel, but internally the same. And here we have the Genesis with this stud in the yoke for the sling and a shrouded barrel. Okay, here we go with the 177 cal parts diagram. So you might want to pause this and use the Windows snipping tool. And here is the parts list. Apparently this thing is made by BAM in China, but at least it's a complete parts list. You got that. And this RWS 320M from 2002 was also built by BAM in China, and being example number or build number 137. So they do good work there. And here is the 22 version showing the later stock. They had a couple different plastic stocks on the 177 earlier models, which again started in 2011. And here is the 22 parts list, and this says it gives the BAM number and all that stuff. So like I said, pause it, copy it, print it, and do whatever you need to do. Okay, I hope I got this set up right for you guys to see. Anyway, this thing can't go on that because it's turned up and cocked at an angle. Somebody was fooling with it. Now I gotta hope. Okay, there. Got to get that more sideways to get it in this slot here. So anyway, so I can get it at an angle like that, so that can slide properly. But you can see down in there the shaft of the gas ram thing. It's sliding off of it because there's a little circle right there. The slot of the piston is back about here. I got to figure out how to push the piston forward a little bit to be able to get this notch on the end here back in the piston. Just hate to have to use that chain breaker to completely take the 3 or 4 pieces, well, 2 or 3 whatever pieces of this thing out of there to angle it down into the piston where it'll stay in place. I hope it ain't angled, and I really don't want to take that trigger out to I don't know. It's got this thing on the back. The other one, the nitro pistons have a cap with 2 holes like this. Just stick 2 screwdrivers in it and take a 3rd screwdriver and turn it like that. You can't do that on this one. Okay, I had to wind up using this locking crescent wrench to get this rear screw mount for the stock out of the back of the trigger plate here. And it still won't move. I don't see another screw on it either. Okay. I had to use a little screwdriver here. Ones you get on the counter at the auto parts store. I got the Phillips and the standard in that size. Real handy for jeweler screws anyway. This thing's supposed to pull right out, and I had to stick a screwdriver in between that and the body over here and kind of pry it to get that to pop out of there. Now this one, I gotta dig out that spring compressor I bought, since they changed it where you gotta put a spring compressor on it, and to push on this thing to get that to easily slide this big pin out of there so you can get the guts out. So I will have to remove the scope here. I couldn't remember if I tightened that with a screwdriver or not. I guess I didn't. Not the best, but best mounts. But they're the only set of Weaver Picatinny rings I had left. Center point 3 to 9 by 32, and it's a mill dot. There's no AO adjustment, but hey. Okay, now I have to find my spring compressor I bought. I don't know where I put that thing since I remodeled the room. Okay, I got the spring compressor on it. It's by Airgunner. It's a rail lock. It fits 11mm dovetail, or it's got grooves on the inside of this end here that slides over this edge, and you got to crank that thing way out with only about a half a thread, one thread tops holding it. On this end more so than this bolt here. They give you the Allen keys for it and all of that anyway. You just need to compress this little round block right here to get that pin out. And then we can take it apart, and I'll show you that. Anyway, there's the bigger of the two Allen keys they give you. You got to use that to crank the rod in. It's got the plastic plug there to push, push with. But hoo-wee, that was hard to fit that in there. You got to fit it. You can't fit it all the way up here like that, so you use less of that thing. You just use up most of the length, just because with these Picatinny rails, you can't slide it forward much farther than not that far. Okay, so I'll get this thing out, this plug out, and then I'll show you. Holy horse hockey. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. And as I put pressure on this thing, it slipped off the rail right there. I need to get longer bolts. Even a 1/4 inch longer would be good, so I can work that thing on a Picatinny rail. I just can't clamp it tight enough. It pulled up and popped off as I tried to push against this thing, and I can't get the plunger lined up steady. I'll have to play around with that thing a little more. But I don't know how it did it, but you see this groove right here? That goes in, well, the mechanism, see how that, I pulled the hammer and it fired hard. So something was locked up on that damn thing, and it finally unlocked, because, as I was going to say, see that groove in the back of the piston right there? Well, this thing slid into the second groove. The first groove is for the mechanism from the trigger that this, see, oh, I can't see my fingers to put. See this little lever right there? Well, there's a part that sticks down here. It's real tricky to get. You can slide that, pull up on this thing and slide it, the whole mechanism forward to line up this hole here. But get that little lever down there where it can lock up on this thing. The dumb thing was locked up and compressed for God knows how long, and it still fired hard. So somebody messed it up, but it's good now. All I had to do was push it a little, this thing in a little bit, and it just kind of kicked everything back in place. This thing, it slid up. It's like this thing had the rod on the ram gas ram pushed back this way, right? And scoop, clunk, clack, boom. So I was finally able to pull the trigger and release the pressure. Couldn't make up my mind if you couldn't cock it, if it was already cocked, so I expressed it the way I did you guys in the earlier video. But that's it, it's fixed. You believe that shit? Happy accidents. You know, like Angus Young used to say, to come up with a really cool riff, he called it a happy accident. Well, that's for you too, Eddie. If you happen to be looking down. But good, I got it. That just goes to show how long a gas ram can stay cocked. And you release the pressure and it's fine again. We'll get this thing back together and see how it fires. I gotta recompress that and push that rod to the right, or screw that back this way and get the bolts back in and stuff so I can get it back in the box. It's by Airgunner, and I might have even got that on PA Pyramid Air. It's not as good as the kind that you put in it's like a big $200 or $300 fixture. They go a little over $200 sometimes, where it goes between the end of the barrel there and this thing here, and you got this thing that just you know, by a screw similar to this setup on this thing to push that in, but it sits in there evenly. This thing does not sit evenly. It did the job though, so can't complain. That's the first time I just had to use a spring compressor to push the compressed rammer the other way so I could knock the piston back into place. And leaving these things all hooked up was a good thing, because it went into the second groove that usually lines up with this round hole right here, so you can get the end of this thing down in there. You pull one completely out and take it apart from this thing and you'll see what I mean. Comes apart from here and here too, but that's another story. The trigger goes into there, you pull the trigger, it pulls that little sear pin out of that slot and it goes forward and fires. That's it. Simplicity itself. Boy, that was a little bit dangerous, but hey, whatever works, you know. Okay, got some like a locking crescent wrench there. I tighten that back down with it, holds the back of the trigger strap, as you can see, and the rear stock bolt goes in there. And it doesn't matter if that thing sits square, because it's kind of a more round sort of hole, and it's got almost a stirrup shaped cleat that goes in the stock that goes around that thing, so that's cool. But I don't believe this. Talk about a sweet little bit of luck that popped that thing exactly back into place where it need to be, with this upside down sort of L thing that goes in that groove, and the trigger groove right here. That's the end of the gas ram, well, the rammer, you know, business end. Nice thing that I didn't have to take the trigger apart. Oh boy. So maybe tomorrow we can fire the thing. And I also had to push this cap back in. It fits down to here in the stock over here. So the round part has to be up towards the Picatinny rail. Okay, there it is, all back together. And that half circle thing is sitting pretty close down there, the end cap. Sitting pretty close to the wood. There's a little gap there, but that's okay because I got the bolt tight. So it's back together, and I finally got everything reset. The safety must have got stuck. Anyway, it's all back together, and tomorrow I'll have to set up something where I can practice, take a couple of practice shots, or should I say test shots. But the dang thing shoots hard. So all the seals and stuff are still good. That's great. In the bit here, we'll get some initial testing done. Okay. Now that we got this thing back together and got to where it'll fire, I got out some 22 Gammo Hunters dome-shaped pellet. These are nice. These and the rockets are two things Gammo does really well as far as pellets are concerned. Must have 7 tins of these things. Okay. Got the scope back on. Of course, I have to get out someplace where I can back off 25 yards and put it to the wood, you know. All right. Cock's nice and crisp, isn't it? Wow. These 100 pellets fit pretty tight in that breech. Okay. Fortune favor the foolish. Three. Has a nice kick to it. Got the rifle nice and clean with the phosphor bronze brush too. So it strikes me that this thing wasn't fired a whole lot before somebody took it apart and tried to monkey with the trigger. I'm saying you try to monkey with the trigger because the trigger has that little lever sticking out like this in the front, but it's got a little tang sticking down like that that gets caught in that slot, that first slot on the back of the piston, like I showed you. And it wasn't lining up. And that thing in the back, you take the cap out, you compress the cap to get the pin out, and there's a thing that takes up space behind there that goes behind the rammers and kind of tighten that up. All that stuff was slightly out of place, and compressing that cap on the back with the spring compressor there finally just titched everything back into place, fortunately for me. It clicks solidly right there, little chisel thing sticking out, but it's not real stiff, not overly stiff. It said it's 35 pounds of cocking pressure or whatever, and that feels about right. Boy, is that a nice breech. The skirts on those Gamma 100 pellets fit that breech nice and snug. Not overly tight, but you take the corner of your knuckle, stick it in the back of the pellet to kind of push down and kind of wrangle your hand around like that to get it evenly down in there. That's all you need. What is the outside? But it's interesting, you don't hear the smack when the pellet hits, it just goes through it, that's it. With my modular backstop. So there we go. Got it all fixed up, nice 0.39 by 32 mil dot scope. It's the German style mil dot that center point uses too. I love that one. It's in good shape. It's even better shape internally. Somebody messed it up and just let it sit, I guess. Barrel is perfect. So, and the seller also refunded me $21.32. So, thanks for that. And I now have both versions of the GuideHawk for only two. But they didn't have a 25, that might have been interesting. But this thing is 950 feet per second with alloy pellets, so like the 12.65 grain Barracuda green I got in the dunnage over there. And lead pellets, like these 15.42 Gamma Hunters, are about 800. But it's got more weight, so it'll carry more of that as FPE to the point of impact. I don't like that kind of safety. I like the ones like the Winchester where it's got the little hammer back here. That's cool. Or the hot sounds where you just got a thing back here you push in, so you can with your thumb and you're ready to go. But I am very thankful this. I got the price of this thing down to $77.68, something like that, from $90-some, $99.99. Well, no, with shipping, I think it was $128.08. That's what it was. So I got the shipping back plus a little bit. And now we now have a really nice small game rifle. It's got about the same power as a Hot Sound Striker, but it's got that shrouded barrel and a Picatinny rail. That's always a bonus. It shoots well. Nice neat round hole. Just a little below the A instead of on the A. Oh, the Pizza Hut. I used the bottom of a Pizza Hut box on the front of that thing. I used the boxes with the lids cut off to put the stuffings in the target backstop. But there it is. It's done and it's good. And I got to get out the 177 and put the Amish handmade buffalo hide sling on that one. You gotta take a screwdriver and bend the yoke kind of open like that a little bit. The front yoke sling mount, to be able to get that thick piece of hide through there. And I need, matter of fact, I need another set of Uncle Mike's other removable sling mounts. So one thing I like about the Genesis and the GuideHawk is they have this sling mounts, whereas the Nitro Venom didn't. So that's one of the two things improvements they made on this thing. But it's repaired, it works pretty well, it's got a nice kick to it. So that's another job done. Thank God for happy accidents. So keep your gun oiled, your powder dry. And good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We'll see you again.